Hi everyone, welcome back to Betrayed. Thank you for joining us today. We have a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. The lights were dazzling, and the sound of clinking glasses and laughter echoed throughout the hall. My name was being whispered, as if it were the punchline to a cruel joke. I stepped further into the venue, my footsteps softened by the thick red carpet. My eyes locked onto a huge banner hanging above the stage. Farewell party. Underneath it, on a polished table covered in white fabric, sat my luggage. Next to it was an envelope with my name written on it, in her handwriting. The laughter grew louder as I walked closer. But the moment I picked up the envelope, the room went quiet. My fingers shook briefly as I opened it. Inside were divorce papers, already signed by her. My wife, no, my betrayer, stood in the center of the crowd. Her expression was cold, missing all the warmth I once loved in her. She stepped forward, her heels tapping against the marble floor. A cruel smirk appeared on her face. "Your job is done," she said, her voice as sharp as broken glass. "Leave now." I looked at her and at her family, standing behind her. Their smug expressions barely hid their hatred. They had planned this. They had organized my public humiliation like some twisted performance. Fury started boiling inside me, but I forced myself to smile, a calm, deliberate smile that made her hesitate. I leaned in so only she could hear me. "Then, let's begin the real farewell party." Her smirk faded. For the first time, I saw a flicker of fear cross her face. I stood straight, turned around, and calmly walked out of the hall. They thought they had won, but they had no idea what I was capable of. For 5 years, I had been the perfect husband, loyal, supportive, and trusting. I built a life for her, gave up my dreams to support hers, and treated her family as my own. Her father's failing business? I revived it. Her brother's debts? I cleared them. And yet, looking back, the warning signs were always there. The late-night whispers between her and her mother that stopped when I walked in. The family vacations I was never invited to. Her growing distance hidden behind fake exhaustion. I ignored it all, blind to the storm quietly building behind my back. Until tonight. The moment I walked into that hall, everything became clear. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a well-planned takeover. They had used me, drained me of everything, and now they were throwing me away like garbage. As I sat in my car outside the venue, I gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I wanted to scream. I wanted to march back in and confront them. But that's exactly what they expected, an emotional breakdown. A sign of weakness. No. They didn't deserve my anger. They deserved my silence, my patience, and my quiet, calculated revenge. I wiped away the tears threatening to fall, pulled out my phone, and started making calls. Revenge, I've learned, is best served in pieces, small, hidden moves that slowly destroy your enemy's foundation until everything crashes down. I spent the next 3 weeks designing their downfall. First was her father. His business, thriving only because of my investments, had one big flaw: total dependence on me. I was the only investor keeping it alive. Quietly, I started pulling out my funds and rerouting them to his competitors. A few anonymous tips to the authorities made sure they looked into his financial records. When the auditors came, his empire collapsed overnight. Next was her brother. The gambling debts I had once paid off were just the beginning. I tracked down his old creditors, shared evidence of his hidden assets, and let them take care of the rest. By the time they were done, he was drowning in more debt than he could ever repay. And then there was her, my wife. The woman who promised to love me, but only loved what I could give her. Her carefully managed social image was her pride. A few leaked emails, private photos, and recorded voice messages were enough to ruin her reputation. Friends turned their backs. Her image fell apart. But I wasn't finished. There was another party, this time at their estate. A celebration to distract themselves from the chaos now surrounding their lives. I wasn't invited, of course. But that didn't stop me. I arrived without warning and walked into their home like I owned the place. The room went silent. Heads turned. My wife's eyes widened. Her face turned pale. Her father and brother stood frozen, crushed under the weight of their failures. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice shaking. I smiled. "I just came to thank you for teaching me a valuable lesson." Her father stepped forward, trying to show the same arrogance he once wore like armor. "You think you can just walk in here?" he barked. "Sit," I interrupted calmly. My voice was steady, but filled with authority, and it shut him up instantly. I placed a thick stack of papers on the table, proof of every step I had taken. Every bank account drained, every business deal ruined. Their entire empire had been taken apart, one piece at a time. Their faces turned pale as they flipped through the pages. "You took everything from me," I said quietly, my voice cold. "So, I did the same. Only, I didn't stop at what you owed me. I took more." Her brother collapsed into a chair, burying his face in his hands. Her father stared at me in shock, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. But my wife, she stood frozen. Tears streamed down her face. "You'll regret this," she whispered, her voice shaking. I stepped closer, until our faces were just inches apart. "No," I said softly. "You will." As I walked out of their collapsing estate, their sounds of despair slowly faded behind me. I felt nothing but peace. The heavy weight of their betrayal no longer suffocated me. They had taken everything from me, but I had taken it all back. And more. In the end, I left them with nothing. No money, no reputation, no friends. Only the empty silence of their own downfall. I stood at the edge of the driveway and looked back one final time. Then, with a quiet laugh, I whispered to myself, "Now that's a farewell party." And I walked away, victorious.